Hi, friend. Welcome back to Inside the Happiness Haven. I'm Dr. Sarah Ratekin, and today we're going to lean into a question that I hear all the time, and it sounds something like this. I'm so tired. How do I keep being there for everyone else without completely running myself into the ground? Now, whether you are a leader, a caregiver, a teacher, a therapist, a parent, or just someone who tends to be the one that others go to, this episode is for you. Because today we're talking about how to be a beacon without burning out. We'll explore what sustainable support really looks like and how to check in with your own energy and why boundaries aren't barriers, they're lifelines. And yes, we'll make the science behind it interesting too. So let's dive in. Here's the metaphor I want to offer you. You are not the ocean. You are not the storm. You are the beacon. But you are also not the structure itself. A lighthouse is only useful if it's stable, if the light is working, if the foundation holds up. Too many of us are trying to shine when we're cracked. We offer light with no time to recharge, and eventually we start to go dim. So let me say this very clearly. You don't have to fall apart to prove you care. Your burnout helps no one, and your depletion is not a gift. Let me tell you about a client I worked with a while back. Let's call her Jess. Jess was a nurse manager, and she was deeply committed. She was a fiercely compassionate human, and absolutely the kind of person you would want in your corner when life gets hard. She was the glue holding her team together, the go-to problem solver, the always on, always available rock. But Jess kept pushing herself past her capacity. She skipped breaks. She covered extra shifts. She took on everyone else's stress and then some. Her team admired her. Her administration depended on her. But they also started to wither under the weight of the unspoken expectation to keep up. Some of them were burning out themselves, a couple of people quit, and some others were quietly disengaging, emotionally checking out, even though they were still technically showing up. So when Jess came to me, she was beyond exhausted. Her jaw hurt from clenching it all day. Her skin was breaking out and she kept getting stress hives. She hadn't laughed in months. And she told me, with her eyes going distant like she was staring over the edge of a cliff, that she was thinking about walking away from the career that she had once absolutely loved. All right, so let's make some smart stuff sexy here. When we empathize with someone's pain, our brains activate the same neural circuits as if we were experiencing it. That's compassion in action. It's pretty cool, right? But if we have too much of that empathy or don't have boundaries around it or time to recover, that can lead us into empathetic distress. That's what researchers call it when caregivers or helpers or feelers start to absorb everyone else's pain as their own. Your brain literally gets flooded with cortisol and goes into survival mode. That's where compassion fatigue, decision fatigue, and even physical illness can sneak in. So if you have been feeling drained or foggy or short-tempered or just emotionally brittle, it might not be that you're doing too little. It might be that you're feeling too much without a reset. Now let me tell you about Adrian. He was a kindergarten teacher who started his career with more passion than most people bring to any job. He had glitter on his sleeves and music in his lessons, and this ability to make 5-year-olds feel like they were the most important humans on earth. I first met Adrian when he was in undergrad, and he was filled with enthusiasm and drive and creativity and this deep-seated desire to make the world a better place. Adrian started teaching a couple of years before the pandemic. He had barely had time to get his feet underneath him when the world turned upside down. And suddenly he wasn't just an educator. He was a tech troubleshooter, emotional support provider, social worker, full-time behavioral manager, all of this and so much more rolled into one. And although the pandemic shifted and things went back to a new normal, the stress never really let up. And so in the years that followed, expectations grew greater while resources shrank. The joy of circle time got replaced with lockdown drills and parent-teacher communications that were getting more and more tense. Colleagues were dropping like flies all around him, and worst of all, Adrian found himself questioning if he was making any real difference anymore. And, to add insult to injury, he also started experiencing some serious mental and physical health challenges. He stayed as long as he could, and he gave probably more than everything. But this year, he quietly packed up his classroom and he walked away. And it wasn't because he didn't care. Actually, because he cared too much, he had been bleeding for a system that refused to offer him even a moment to breathe. Today, he's driving rideshare clients to the airport and walking dogs while working on his real estate license. None of those feed his soul, but they at least help him make his student loan payments. And these stories aren't rare, but they are a wake-up call. Now, we can't fix the world, and none of us, individually or even in small groups, really can fix the multiple systems that, quite honestly, are pretty fundamentally broken. We can, however, keep our own light from being blown out as we navigate the storms of modern life. There are some tools to make this easier, and they're not really that complicated. So here are some ways to stay lit without frying your own circuits. It's really important to be able to name your own capacity. So every day, take a moment to just check in with yourself. Ask yourself, what do I actually have to give today? Emotionally, mentally, physically. And be honest. Maybe you're at 90%, but maybe you're at 12%. Honoring that number lets you give from a place of truth, not guilt. You could also try color-coding your calendar to reflect your energy levels instead of just tasks. Notice the patterns that emerge. Maybe Tuesdays are always low. That's data you can use. If you're familiar with the concept of the spoon theory, that's energy budgeting. So think of your energy like currency. If you've got 5 units and 3 of those go to work, don't spend the other 2 on things like doom scrolling or arguing online or saying yes out of obligation. Spend those on things that nourish you. Keep a daily debit tracker, green for energy giving and red for energy taking. Over time, this will help you build trust in your own ability to make good decisions on where you're spending your energy, and you'll learn to spot the sneaky leaks before they drain you dry. This next one can be a little hard, especially for those of us who have been in that go, go, go until we're running on fumes mode. But it's helpful to create some sacred off time. Designate a time or a space or a ritual that signals that you are off the clock. Use some sensory cues. Change into soft, comfortable clothes, or play a specific piece of music, or light a favorite candle. A friend of mine exchanges a ring with their spouse that indicates that they are no longer at work. No screens, no performance, no obligations. Even just 10 minutes of intentional off time tells your nervous system that it's safe to rest. And a bonus biohack, if you power down your devices an hour before bed, you can increase melatonin and improve your actual rest when you get there. Speaking of nervous systems, our nervous systems crave rhythm. It's why music moves us. So try things like box breathing, where you inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, and hold for 4. Or alternate nostril breathing to activate calm. Humming, drumming, walking to a beat. These all help regulate our vagus nerve. Maybe start a movement minute habit. 1 joyful dance, 1 quick walk around the house, 1 sob where you just happen to move however your body wants. It rewires stress. And this is especially difficult for some of us, but it's also important to let others carry the flame sometimes. None of us are meant to be the only source of light. So practice some radical delegation. Ask someone else to take the lead on that project, even if you do it differently. Say yes when someone offers help. Create small support rituals with friends. Check-in texts, vent and validate calls, or maybe some shared chores. A shared load doesn't just lighten the weight, it also creates more light. And these aren't indulgences. These are routine maintenance, because sustainable light isn't just about keeping the lights on. It's about shining in a way that doesn't destroy the bulb. So let's pause together and take a good breath in and exhale all that air out. Let the world move just a little slower. Let your shoulders drop. Let your jaw soften. Ask yourself, where am I giving from a place of depletion? Is there something I'm offering that I no longer have the reserves to sustain? Think about where your energy feels the most strained or pulled thin, emotionally, mentally, or even spiritually. What helps you feel refueled, not just distracted? Not Netflix binges or endless scrolling, but soul-level replenishment. Do you find that when you spend time in nature? Maybe laughter helps you recharge. Cooking a slow meal. Reading or journaling in silence. Notice what actually restores your spark, and then do that. Also, who can you ask for help, even if it's just a little bit? It doesn't have to be a grand ask. Maybe someone can take something small off your plate. Maybe it's just someone who can hold some space for you while you talk it out. And who do you want to be when you're at that well-lit state? Not just functioning, but flourishing. What would it feel like to move through your days as someone rooted and radiant and at peace with themselves? Hold these questions gently. There's no pressure to answer them perfectly. Let them be invitations, not demands. You don't have to shine at full power every single day, and you don't have to be the answer to everyone else's pain. You do need to be honest with yourself, because being a beacon means knowing when to rest, when to dim the lights a little, when to let someone else take the lead. You are light, but you are also human, so protect your glow. We'll see you next time on Inside the Happiness Haven. Until then, keep showing up in your own way and on your own terms. And if today calls for switching off completely, that's not weakness, that's wisdom. And good for you for recognizing it.